Welcome back to the Chef's Ledger. I'm your host, the Chef. And if you're just dropping by for the first time, or if you've been pulling up a crate here since day one, go ahead, take a breath, get comfortable, and grab whatever you're drinking, whether it be coffee, water, a late night tea, or just whatever keeps you upright. Today's episode is going to be a little different. We aren't going to be rushing through a quick 20-minute breakdown. We aren't talking about patch notes. We aren't going to be breaking down a new recipe. And we sure as hell aren't talking about how many times I completely fumbled an extract in Tarkov or got completely lost in the digital chaos of a roleplay server. Today, we're stepping away from the daily noise entirely, and we're going to sit down, take our time, and talk about why we're here. So, sitting right here in this chair, looking at the chat names scrolling by, it got me thinking about how I even got to this microphone in the first place. Because this whole thing, the recording, talking to a camera, building the Chef's Ledger, and creating a space where people can actually hang out didn't happen in a vacuum. It's built entirely on the back of 15 years in the professional food service industry. 15 years of heat, heavy plates, broken equipment, burnt hands, and those long midnight drives home under streetlights that always seemed a little too dim. So today, let's pull back the line. We're going to talk about what life actually looks like, why it breaks you down piece by piece, the turning points that changed everything, and how building this digital room became the best escape hatch I could have ever asked for. So go ahead, settle in, because this is going to be a long one. People always ask what it's like being a professional chef, because they always see the Food Network shows that they see the pristine plating, the crisp white coats, those expensive Japanese steel knives glinting under overhead lights. And yeah, sure, there's an art to it, but there's definitely an undeniable intoxicating rush when you're right in the middle of a Friday night service. So let me paint a picture of what that actually feels like. It's 6:30 p.m. The dining room's packed. Front of house staff is floating past the pass, like ghosts smiling, pouring wine, taking orders. But on the back line, it's a war zone built out of stainless steel and open flame. The ticket printer starts screaming. Zzz, zzz, zzz. Not a single ticket, but a continuous sheet of paper that immediately starts pooling onto the floor. And your brain shifts gears instantly. You aren't thinking about anything else in the world except those tickets. Your hands are moving faster than your conscious brain can process. Whether it be searing proteins, dropping fryer baskets, turning saute pans, wiping plate rims, or calling out times to the expo. 2 minutes on the ribeye. Drop the scallops. I need eyes on that table 4. It's pure, unfiltered adrenaline. You feel like a conductor leading a chaotic orchestra where every instrument is on fire. Families, couples, groups of friends coming in to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or just a hard-earned Tuesday night out. They put the centerpiece of their evening entirely in your hands. You are the invisible engine of their experience. When a plate goes out looking immaculate, tasting incredible, and the server comes back with a compliment from the table, that's a high you can't really replicate anywhere else. But at the end of the day, nobody ever talks about the real cost of that engine. They don't talk about the reality of what happens when you do that 5, 6, sometimes even 7 nights a week for 15 years. They don't talk about standing on hard concrete tile floors until your knees, hips, and your lower back to turn to absolute mortar dust. They don't talk about the burns that become permanent tattoos on your forearms or the cuts that you don't even notice until you wash your hands at the end of the night in scalding water and every single nerve ending starts screaming. And more than anything else, they don't talk about the isolation. So here's a dirty secret of a professional kitchen that nobody tells you in culinary school. You're surrounded by people all night long, crammed shoulder to shoulder in tight, sweltering quarters, shouting over hoods and fans, but you utterly, profoundly alone. Think about the timeline of a chef's life. You miss holidays, while everyone is gathered around a Thanksgiving table or lighting fireworks on the 4th of July. You're standing over a flat top sweating through your chef coat because those are the biggest nights of the year for the restaurant industry. You miss birthdays, weddings, weekend trips with friends, and even simply family cookouts. You work while everyone else is out living life. And by the time you get off work at midnight, 1, and even 2 in the morning, the rest of the world is asleep. The streets are dead quiet, and you drive home in an empty car, your clothes reeking of old grease, charcoal, sweat, and burnt garlic. You walk into a dark, quiet apartment or house. Your feet are throbbing so hard you can barely stand up to take your shoes off. And your mind is still racing at 100 miles an hour, replaying every single mistake from service. Did that steak go out too rare? Why did the printer jam on table 12? Then you just sit there staring at the ceiling for hours, completely wired and completely exhausted at the same exact time. For a long time, that was my entire life. The kitchen wasn't just a job, it was an enclosed, suffocating ecosystem that consumed everything else. I ate my schedule, I ate my physical health, and after a while, it started eating my passion. There's a specific kind of spiritual and physical burnout that happens around year 10. You reach a point where you realize you've mastered the craft. You know how to run a station blindfolded. You can fix a broken emulsion just by looking at it. And you can predict what the front of house is going to fuck up before they even walk back into the kitchen. And you have the skills. But the system itself starts to chew you up and spit you out. I remember a specific night. It was a Saturday night disaster of epic proportions. Equipment failure right in the middle of the hardest push of the year. Walk-in cooler starts fluctuating in temperature. Half the crew is in the weeds. Green line cooks panicking. Temperatures running hot enough to melt stainless steel. And it was chaos incarnate. I was running the pass, trying to hold the whole ship together with duct tape and willpower. And I remember looking down at my hands. They were covered in fresh burns, a new bandage on my left thumb, and cuts I couldn't even remember getting. And right there, in the middle of the screaming and the ticket printer noise, I heard this terrifying, crystal clear moment of clarity. Is this the rest of my life? Am I just a machine that turns raw ingredients into cash flow until my physical body finally gives out on me? It wasn't that I hated cooking. I love food. I love the discipline, the structure, the absolute geometry of building a menu from scratch, the science of flavor, the tangible results of taking raw elements and turning them into something that brings people joy. I loved the food, but I hated the context. I hated feeling like my passion, my creativity, and my time were being traded away 70 hours a week under harsh fluorescent lights just to keep a business afloat while missing out on actual living. And I knew right then that if I didn't find a way out, the kitchen was going to entirely consume whatever was left of me. And it was at that point that I started to look for an escape hatch. Not away from the food, never away from that, because it's in my bones. It's how I view the world, but away from the isolation. I wanted a space where I could share the actual unfiltered story of what it means to work in this industry. The absolute chaos, the dark humor, the late night thoughts that keep you awake. I wanted to build something where I had creative control over the environment. When I started recording and putting together the chef's ledger, I had no clue what I was doing. Zero. None. I was literally talking to an empty room, testing out audio levels, figuring how to set up recording software, learning how to talk to the microphone instead of a prep cook. It felt terrifying. In the kitchen, I knew the rules. I knew the hierarchy. I knew the equipment. I knew every square inch of the space. But here, I was starting completely from zero. I'd sit here trying to figure out audio plugins while my brain kept telling me, "What are you doing? You're a chef. Why are you sitting in front of a microphone talking to yourself?" And it took a long time for me to realize that the skills I learned in the kitchen didn't disappear just because I took off the chef coat. The obsession with details, the need for organization, pacing, the ability to handle pressure when things go wrong live. That was all kitchen DNA. I just transferred it from stainless steel line to a digital one. And now that's why this whole space matters so much to me now. Because building this community, whether we're hanging out, cleaning up the workspace, mapping out custom menu project, testing out crazy recipe ideas, or sitting in total silence working through a heavy project. It's the exact opposite of that old kitchen isolation. When you guys listen in, when we're joking around, debating ingredients, or just sharing a quiet moment, it feels like service, but without the toxicity. It's a shared room. It's people who get the obsession with details, who appreciate the process, who just want a chill space to decompress after a long, exhausting day of their own. People outside looking in think audio production and content creation is just talking into a webcam for fun. But after 15 years in food service, my brain doesn't look at it that way. I look at this community the exact way I used to look at a dining room. My goal isn't to plate a meal and push it out the window anymore. My goal is to curate an experience. A place where you can drop your bags, listen to some good audio, and talk about what makes a genuinely great burger. You're the regulars. You're the people who sit at the corner of the counter and actually talk to the person behind it, rather than just treating them like some background noise. So, to all of you who tune in, who participate, and who make this place what it is, thank you. Thank you for buying into the vision, for dealing with the chaotic schedule changes, and for letting me bring a little of that old school kitchen mentality into this digital space. But we got a lot more work to do. More custom menus to design, more stories to tell, more episodes of this ledger to write, and a whole lot more late night hangs ahead of us. So if you're listening to this, you're a part of the crew now. The service is running, the doors are open, and we're just getting started. I'm just Chef. Go ahead, grab yourself something good to eat, take care of yourselves, get some rest, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.